Fala galera, bem-vindos ao OmeleTV mais do que especial. Temos aqui a presença de Andy Serkis, o Caesar, o Gollum. Nosso amigo Andy Serkis está aqui no Brasil, deu uma passada, olha só, uma visita no estúdio do Omelete.
It's such an honor to have you here because you're visiting our home and we are big fans, like really big fans. So it's really an honor. Please welcome.
Thank you so much. Obrigado. It's really fantastic to be here in Brazil. What I've seen of it, which is only very little, I've had such a great time. You have such a wonderful people here, very friendly, very generous. Thank you.
The movie really is amazing. We watched it yesterday and we were saying how ironic in a kind of a way it is to have Planet of the Apes being one of the most human trilogies of today.
I mean, that's the wonderful thing about the metaphor of using apes to say so much about our own society. You know, these creatures are 3% genetically different to us. They look very different, but of course they are our closest cousins, and these films were always designed to reflect the human condition and allow us to look at ourselves.
Human gets sick, ape gets smart.
Caesar evolved along the movies and the technology has also evolved. So what was the big change for the first movie to the last one?
Playing Caesar through the three movies, it's not only him growing from being a chimpanzee, a young infant chimpanzee, to a revolutionary leader, to the father of a movement, to a leader in war. He's also changing and becoming more human-like, and his method of communication, his emotional intelligence, the way he is physically is rapidly changing. So that has been an extraordinary challenge, you know. But as you say, the technology also has changed. Right at the beginning of Rise, the first movie, was the first time we could use this technology outside on location. But the first film was very domestic. It was in a laboratory or in the house that Caesar grew up in, or the ape sanctuary. In these films, we're shooting in the mountains, in snow and rain and very hard conditions. So the technology's become much more robust. And also in the post-production, the rendering of the characters. In this film, there is such a level now of the skin texturing, the eyes, the fur, the way that the snow falls on the fur.
If I'm not wrong, you've just said emotion capture, because it's not just motion capture anymore. You really have your emotions.
Capture,
Is that the correct way to say?
Yeah, this is about the entire performance, the physicality, the facial expressions, the audio, the voice, you know. It's just another technology for filming an actor's performance in its entirety.
And it seems to be really physical demanding to play an animal.
Well, Caesar's been through lots of physical changes, you know, but I think the hardest part actually was in Rise, the first film, when I was playing him as a young chimpanzee with lots of energy, and I was bent over and using arm extensions to quadruped and run, you know. But as Caesar has grown older, he's become more and evolved. He has become more human-like in his posture. So every day was quite physically intense.
I came for you.
This movie kind of closes the arc of Caesar. Do you think that this franchise can go on, and would you like to be involved on a fourth film?
Like you say, it's the closing episode of the Caesar cycle, as we call it. Matt Reeves, when he was writing it, wanted to create a moment in time where the apes in future stories would be able to look back and say, this was the seminal ape who created our society. But of course, the technology allows actors to play anything. You know, as using this technology, you can become anything. So for me, there are many more opportunities, I think, in the future.
Are there more like you? More apes from zoo? Dead. All dead.
And you are the go-to name when you're talking about performance capture in Hollywood nowadays, because I always remember Mark Ruffalo in Agent of Ultron, because he was so exciting, because he learned a lot from you. So how is this process of teaching actors to use performance capture?
You know, it's interesting, because I think the most important thing about performance capture is understanding that it's not a type of acting or a genre of acting. It's acting is acting. You know, there is no secret to it, and it's just allowing an actor to understand that and really base it on the character, as you would as if you were playing a live action role. So you have to be to want to be involved in a performance capture role. You have to be not vain. You have to understand your face is not going to be on screen and be happy with that. But apart from that, it is the most incredibly liberating tool.
You just said something that's very very interesting because the vanity of your face not being on screen. And I believe it was 2 years ago, I was at the Heathrow airport and you were there walking on with everyone else around, and no one was like going after you. That's something that you want to have your privacy as well.
It's a very healthy balance I have, because people do come up to me, and
Friends of course know you.
They come up to me and talk to me, and every day it happens, but it's never too much, you know. It's always, so I have a degree of anonymity, and I love engaging with fans because, you know, they are so passionate about the subject matter, about the material, about the worlds that we create, you know, and we share such a lot.
You made this?
Yes.
Are you serious? Wow, that's incredible. That's really amazing.
And do you have any fanboy experience by working on these franchises?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, my most embarrassing fanboy moment was that on the very first, the very first Star Wars dinner, we sat round, and my wife was with me, and all the, you know, Harrison was there, and Carrie Fisher, God bless her, was there, and Kathleen Kennedy, and, you know, JJ was there, and we all sat down, and this guy sat next to me, and I thought he was one of the producers, and he said to me, turned around, he said, "Oh, I'm such a big fan of your work," and I said, "Oh, thank you very much." I said, "What's your involvement in this?" And he said, "Oh, I'm Mark," and I went, "Oh, I'm Mark." And I said, "So what are you actually doing on this?" And he said, "Well, no, I'm Mark." And I said, "Well, yeah, but what are you actually doing?" He said, "I'm Luke Skywalker." You know?
But you didn't recognize?
I didn't recognise him at all.
Very bad feeling about this.
It was so funny. And we've laughed about this so many times, and he's talked about this story publicly so many times. I mean, and every time we see each other, he goes, "I know you, I'm sure I know you." You know?
It wasn't your fault because he
looks
was
totally
using
different. And, yeah, I hadn't seen him. Of course, my image of Mark was as like yours would have been in Star Wars, you know, in the first 3 films. It was terrible.
Talking about different franchises, it's just something that came to my mind. It was Andy and Woody together in a movie. Of course, it's Toy Story. Everyone knows that. But how was to work with Woody Harrison? Because he's amazing in this movie.
He's extraordinary. We became really close friends, actually, and the choices that he made for the Colonel were extraordinary, you know. So those were very, very incredible scenes to play. And off set, we had a great time as well. We spent a lot of time with each other, and
I've heard about some bottles of wine. Is that correct?
A few bottles of wine. Yeah, he likes his bottles of wine, as do I. And so we had some very long kind of nights of talking about the world, the universe.
I have goosebumps, people!
The work you do with your voice is amazing, because all your characters has this their very own voice.
If Skywalker returns, the new Jedi will rise.
How you prepare that? How you find your voice for your characters?
I don't work from just the voice. It always comes from really understanding the character. You know, what is it about that character that makes them, you know, communicate in that way? You know, Gollum is Gollum because of he's carrying the guilt of the way, you know, when he killed his cousin. Murderer. Caesar's voice evolved, you know, from the first film through a cross between a chimpanzee cry of anger, but mixed with a human word when he first says no, you know, to stop the cruelty to the apes in the sanctuary. No! And then in this film, of course, he speaks more fluently and evolutionarily. He's almost become human.
She has no one else.
But it's something that people ask you a lot for your voices, because I saw you doing reading Trump tweets. That was like Gollum. That was really amazing.
The fake news media has never been so wrong or so dirty.
Sometimes it's fine, and then sometimes I think, oh, you know, should I really do this? Because people will just think I'm going to always do this, and I don't know. I mean, it's great because it does bring people pleasure, and it is funny, but maybe there will be a time where I think, oh, shall I still do this, or maybe I should not, you know.
Well, the Stones are still playing Satisfaction, so
Well,
I think you have to.
I think you could do like a little Gollum for us.
Oh, little Gollum. Okay.
Precious! Bonjour. You're Andy Serkis on Omelete. No, you're not racist. Yes, I am. Shut up.
There you go.
Oh my god, okay,
What's
you
that?
really made people
Look
happy
at
with that. Yeah, we are like,
Goosebumps all
I
over.
was like, see? Like, close to me, that's so awesome. Thank you so much. And so emotional.
Jump into behind the scene, behind
Yeah.
the cameras. You had directed a second unit on The Hobbit.
That's right.
And now you have directed your own length movie. How is this experience to go behind the cameras? Is that something that you thought for a long time? How was this process for you?
I've always wanted to direct for many years, and going back, even before Lord of the Rings days, I'd started to write scripts and make short films, and then after Lord of the Rings, I'd shot my first short film, Bigfoot short film, and then I went, after King Kong, I came back to the UK and directed performance capture for a video game, for 2 video games actually, Heavenly Sword and Enslaved, which were with a company called Ninja Theory. And then I set up the Imaginarium with my business partner, Jonathan Cavendish, who's a producer, which is the Imaginarium is a performance capture studio with a production entity with a view to directing my own films. And just as we set that up, Peter asked me if I would like to direct the second unit on The Hobbit, and so I spent 200 days in New Zealand shooting with the second unit on that, which was the most incredible experience. And then we started to get our films into production, and then Jungle Book came along, and then so that we started to work on. I started directing, we shot that, and then went on to direct a small independent film with Andrew Garfield and Claire Foy, who are amazing, and in this film called Breathe, which is a true story, a very beautiful love story, and a story of the triumph of the human spirit over adversity.
You've just mentioned Andrew Garfield. He was the Spider-Man, and we had lots of British playing American superhero comic books superheroes. Why do you think that British actors have been getting these iconic characters that are very American and getting these roles?
I don't know. I mean, there are such extraordinary performances all from all around the world. I don't know why it would be that Brits do get these roles. But Tom Holland's doing a great job.
He did,
Spider-Man.
yeah.
I mean, he's doing an amazing
And we
job.
had the Batman, we had the Superman still. So.
Yeah, true.
And Ulysses Claw looks like an amazing villain. As we were talking about
He's a
villains.
fun character.
Yeah.
He's a fun, yeah.
I saw a documentary, it was terrifying.
Just one last question. Is there any character that you're still willing to play?
Well, that's a great question. Not necessarily one character, but performance capture now has reached a very interesting place because it can be used not only for big budget movies, but for video games, obviously, but for television and also the new emerging technologies of VR and mixed reality. So I'm very interested in evolving the technology in multi-platform kind of areas, and I'm also very interested in the art of digital resurrection. If you were to do a story about Albert Einstein, for instance, you could either find an actor that looks very similar to him, or you could take 3D photogrammetry of Einstein and actually, use his the real Albert Einstein's physiognomy and portray him using performance capture technology. So I am interested in playing human beings, because of course now the technology and the software and the ability to make photorealism like you see in war, it's there now, I think. And I think the next step will be to be able to do that with human beings to a greater degree.
It is my hope that out of this solemn occasion, a better world will emerge.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it was such an honor.
Oh,
It's
lovely
amazing
speak
to have
with
you here.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome to come back anytime
Yeah.
you
I'd
want.
love to. Well,
Our
maybe I'll
home is
come-
your home.
Maybe I'll come back with Jungle Book.
Oh, that's
Please,
amazing.
Yeah.
please do.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you very much, sir.
I came for you.